Hey, what's up guys? My name is Frank Mularcik and I hope you all are having a great day today. In this video, we're going to be taking a look at a new feature that I've added to my dividend tracking spreadsheet using the script editor within the Google Sheets. So before we get started, I would just ask to smash the like button and subscribe. It's completely free and only takes a second. So if you did that, that would really help me out as a small channel. And if you're really feeling extra helpful today, you can hit that notification bell and you'll be notified when I upload future videos. All right, so we're here in a copy of my dividend tracking spreadsheet. And the reason I made it a copy is because I want to show you guys some things and sort of change some things around while we're in it live. And I don't want to do that in my regular spreadsheet and have it messed up at all. So I want to be able to easily go back to what I had. So if you look down here at the bottom, I have a new sheet called Changes Over Time. And the basic goal with this is to provide a consistent progress or be able to track that progress of some metrics related to my dividend investing. So basically right now, the only metrics I'm tracking are the annual dividends or the projected annual dividends that my portfolio will produce in 1 year. And then also the dividend cagr, because that's important to me as a dividend investor. I want to have a good dividend cagr so I can know that my companies are going to hopefully continue to grow their dividends in the future. And if I have a good cagr in the past, and that indicates they're probably going to continue to increase that in the future. So basically what you can see here is I'm just listing a date, and then I'm putting in the annual dividends that are projected at that date, and then I'm putting in the 3-year cagr at that date. And if you haven't seen my video already on how I am importing the 3-year dividend cagr into my spreadsheet, I'll leave a link up here, and you can go look at that as well. So right now, it's not really showing you much because, as you can see, the most recent date in there is September 21st. And basically what I want to do is have this update automatically every month and add a new entry here and then add a new bar on this graph here. And then that'll help me track my progress over time, and hopefully we'll see a steady uphill climb. So I'm going to be using a script within Google Sheets. And so how you do that is you go to Tools and then to Script Editor right there. And then it'll pull this up. And as you can see, I already have it all written out. And I'm going to explain it real quick. So if we go back to my spreadsheet real quick, I'm getting the annual dividend and the 3-year dividend cagr. And if you remember, I included both of those numbers or both of those values on the summary page of my spreadsheet down here. I have an annual dividend income right here and a 3-year dividend cagr right here. So that's where I'm going to be getting those values and bringing them in here. So basically, my basic thought process through this is I'm going to check all of the dates in this column. And then when I get to the most recent date, I'm going to check if it is at least 30 days in the past, because I want to update this every 30 days. And then if it is more than 30 days in the past, then I'm going to copy those values from the summary page into these places here. So to do that, I'm using this script, as I said before. And for this script, I'm using a function called onOpen. And sorry, before we get into this, Google scripts and their script editor, they're written in JavaScript. So that's the basic language that's being used here. I really don't have any prior experience with JavaScript. So I basically was looking all this stuff up as I went and trying to figure it out as I went. But I will leave some links in the description for basically some basic tutorials and stuff like that from Google itself. So that was helpful for me at least, and then I was able to just do some Googling on top of that and figure some other stuff out. So the function onOpen, basically if you include this, then this function that I'm creating here is basically just going to execute every time this spreadsheet is opened, or if it's refreshed, then it will execute. So I'm basically in JavaScript, when you want to create a variable, you use the keyword var and then create your variable with that name there. So I'm creating a var called SS, and it's just a spreadsheet variable, and it's just saying get active spreadsheet, which allows me to access the spreadsheet I'm in. And then if I want to access a specific sheet, I need to use this get sheet by name on that spreadsheet variable. And I want to access the summary sheet and the changes over time sheet. So that's that summary we talked about and the changes over time here. So then I'm just going to make a h variable, which is just sort of a counter that I'm going to use. So basically what this for loop here is doing is it's basically checking and finding the most recent date that is listed. So basically what I'm doing is I'm going down this row in this first column here, and I'm just checking the values of these cells. And if the value of the cell is basically empty, then I'm going to say that the date that I want to look at is in the cell above that. So I'm iterating through, and if the value, which is basically this right here, saying if the sheet2.getRange.getValue is equal to empty quotation marks, basically if it's empty, then I'm just going to create this variable called date to check, and I'm just going to make it a date object with the value of the cell that's one above the current cell that I'm looking at. And then I'm just using this break statement here because that will break out of the for loop. So once I already have that most recent date, I don't want to do this again because then the next value down is also going to be empty, and then that date is going to get reassigned to an empty cell, which I don't want. So I have to use that break statement to get out of this for loop once this if condition is met. So then I'm just going to create a variable called today, which is going to just store the date of today. And so when you create a new date object, if you don't pass anything into the constructor, then it just assigns it the values for today. And then then basically what I want to do is I want to check if that most recent date that we just found here is 30 days in the past. And the way you do this in JavaScript, at least the way I'm doing it, is I'm using the method getTime on the date variables. And when you use that method, it gets you a time in milliseconds since some reference point in the past. So that the value of that time really isn't important, but I want to check it compared to the today value. So basically what I'm going to do is I'm going to add this value in milliseconds to the value in milliseconds of the most recent date. And this value in milliseconds is basically equal to 30 days. And then if the sum of those two is greater than today's value in milliseconds, then that means that it has been less than 30 days. And so in that case, nothing's going to happen. I just close these brackets here, and then the function will just end and nothing will happen. But if that's not true, then that means that it's been more than 30 days since this was last updated, basically. And then I'm going to go through and update it with this code here. So then if we move along, this next part here is just looking at the sheet 1, which is the summary sheet. And it's looking down here for the, it's looking at this B column for annual dividend income and average 3-year cagr. And so if it finds these two exact phrases, then it's going to create a variable and set that equal to whatever row it's in, so that I can get this annual dividend income and the 3-year cagr values, which are in that same row. So I hope that makes sense. So I'm just saying if the value of that particular cell is equal to annual dividend income, then I'm going to create a variable called divrow and set it equal to the current row we're in. And if it's equal to the 3-year cagr, average 3-year cagr, then I'm going to set it equal to, I'm going to create a variable called cagr row and set it equal to I. And then down here, I'm just creating variables for the actual value of the dividend and the cagr. And I'm just getting them from that same summary page from this row. And I'm just passing in that same row that we got before from the previous step. And then lastly, this H variable here, these last 3 statements are just updating the 3 values in these 3 values right here that will go here. And so this H variable is from up here, and that's basically the next row that we want. So that will put it in the next row down that has no values in it. So I'm going to run this and show you how it works. Okay, so with this date in here of September 21st, since that's less than 30 days in the past, we would expect our script to do nothing when it runs. So we're going to run just to show that, and then we'll change the date to something further in the past to show the other outcome as well. So if we go in here and run it, you'll see why I wanted to make a copy of my spreadsheet, because when you run a script for the very first time, it gives you this authorization required. So I wanted to step you through that process as well. And so basically what you just had to do is review permission and then select your account. And then it says this app isn't verified. So you just hit advanced, and then you just hit go to your script, and it will say unsafe, but you just do that and you just allow it, and then your script can access your Google Sheet basically. So if we run that, we're running it, and then it's done, and you can see nothing happened here. So if we change the date to maybe the 5th of September, and then go back in here and run it again, and it's done, we'll go in and see it added a new row with the current values and added this nice little trend line in. And so that's just basically shows that it works. So I hope this explanation made sense. I know I'm really not the best teacher when it comes to this stuff, but I'm trying to get better at that. And I hope it helped you learn a little bit. And that brings me to the quote, which is, tell me and I forget, teach me and I remember, involve me and I learn. And that was Ben Franklin who said that. Most of you probably know who that is. But the reason I included this is because I don't really want to just give everyone the answers or just give them the formula that's going to work in their spreadsheet. Not because I don't want to be nice. I really want to help you guys out as much as I can. So if you do have questions about it, definitely leave them in the comments or email me or DM me on Instagram or something like that. But I want to be able to involve people in the process and actually have them walk through it themselves so they can get a feel for how it works. Because from my experience, that's how I really learn from things. And from this quote, that's what Ben Franklin thought as well. So I know this was kind of a long one. I hope you still enjoyed it and got something out of it. I certainly enjoyed making this and making the script because I think it's going to make me be able to track my progress a lot better and see how I'm improving. I'm definitely interested to see how I can improve my dividend cagr over time. So that'll be cool to see. We will definitely be looking at that in the future. So thanks for watching again, and I'll see you in the next one.